Crystal would later remember seeing her brothers wearing body armor and having multiple knives laying on the bed. She heard Michael ask his brother, "Should we do it now?" And Robert said yes. The two killer brothers then went room by room, unleashing their attack on their family members. There are things in this world that are so messed up that you can think it would only happen in nightmares. Like your brother or sister taking out your entire family. Is that even possible? Sadly, for this family, it became a reality one night, and they never saw it coming. This is the story of the teen brothers who killed 5 family members for fame. On July 22, 2015, police in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, received a very distressing 911 call from a boy who claimed that his brother was attacking his family.
Broken Arrow 911. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, where are you at?
Broken Arrow, Oklahoma 7411.
What address?
709 Magnolia Court.
Okay. Are you the only one there?
No, my brother's attacking my family.
Your dad is attacking your family?
No, my brother.
The operator could hear the screaming and commotion in the background, and then a male voice picked up the phone and said, "Hello?" and the line went dead. Dispatchers traced the number and found that the call came from the house of 52-year-old David Bever. They tried calling him to find out what was going on, but he was not picking up the call. No one in the house was. David lived in a nice suburban house with his 44-year-old wife, April, and 7 children, ranging between 18 to 2 years. They included Robert, 18, Michael, 16, Crystal, 13, Daniel, 12, Christopher, 7, Victoria, 5, and Autumn, 2. David worked in the tech industry, while April was a homemaker who also homeschooled the children. The family did everything together and mostly kept to themselves. In fact, neighbors said that they would only see the children playing outside their backyard or mowing their lawn.
Anytime that I would take my kids to the park, my kids would run up to their fence and try to talk to them, and the kids would just turn around and even run from my kids and run back in the house.
April, who married David when she was only 15, was a huge Reddit fan and would constantly post under the username Aoki Mom. In her posts, she often talked about raising 7 children and homeschooling. In one post, she described herself as tired, happy, blessed. In another, she said that she would not change her children for anything in the world, saying in part, "I would never give up having any of my children so I could have more money. They are amazing people, and the world will benefit by having them in it. And nothing I could buy or invest in could compare to giving a person a chance to have a life." On the other hand, David was said to be physically and verbally abusive towards his children, and would sometimes throw them across the room when he was angry. On July 22nd, at around 11:30 p.m., Crystal had gone over to Robert and Michael's room to tell them that their mom wanted them to do the dishes. Crystal would later remember seeing her brothers wearing body armor and having multiple knives laying on the bed. She heard Michael ask his brother, "Should we do it now?" and Robert said yes. Michael then asked Crystal to come inside and see something on his computer screen. But when Crystal went in, Robert came up behind her with a knife and slit her throat. Crystal fought back, and he plunged the knife into her arms and abdomen. Still, she did not die, and managed to run to her younger sister's room and tell her to lock herself in the bathroom. Their mom heard the commotion and came up to check what was going on. When she realized what was happening, she tried to turn around and call the police, but Michael jumped on her and unleashed a frenzy of at least 48 knife strikes all over her body. The two killer brothers then went room by room, unleashing their attack on their family members. They hit their dad with a blunt object before stabbing him 28 times. They then found Christopher and Victoria hiding in the bathroom. To get them to open, Michael pretended that he was being attacked and asked them to open the door for him. Christopher and Victoria opened the door thinking they were saving their brother, but instead, Robert jumped in and thrust his knife on their bodies, finishing them off. Meanwhile, 12-year-old Daniel had locked himself in his room and had managed to call 911. Michael came and used the same strategy of pretending he was under attack to get his little brother to open. And when he did, Robert came in and mauled him to death.
Daniel was in his room, which is down the hall, and I was like, "Let me."
How old's Daniel?
I think he's 12.
Okay.
And I was like, "Let me in," and he let me in. He was sitting on the phone with the police. I grabbed the phone, which is my phone. I got my phone.
When this was going on, Crystal had somehow managed to get to the front door and opened it, hoping to set off the alarm. But the brothers had already turned it off. She ended up collapsing on the front lawn as she tried to go get help. When she came to, she found Michael dragging her back inside and heard her younger brothers screaming in the house. The police arrived around this time and found blood on the sidewalk and the front step. As they were banging the door, they heard a faint voice calling for help on the inside. At that moment, the police broke in and they found Crystal lying in a pool of red, barely alive. Crystal told the police that her brothers were the ones that had attacked her family before she was carried out into the waiting ambulance. As the police went around the house, they could not believe the brutality at which the 5 family members had been killed. There were wounds everywhere, including the face, chest, neck, arms, and abdomen. The only family member that was unharmed was 2-year-old Autumn, who was found sleeping soundly upstairs through the ordeal.
It's hard to just even imagine why someone would do something like that to a stranger, much less your family.
The 2 killer brothers had escaped through the back door and were hiding in the woods. However, the police quickly tracked them down using canine dogs, and they were both arrested and brought in for questioning. One of the detectives who arrested the boys would later say, "They weren't upset, they weren't distraught. It's almost like they had a sense of cockiness." Another detective said that one of the boys, probably Robert, had a smirk on his face. Police photos of the brothers when they were caught show them covered in mud and blood with their clothes torn, and they even appear to have some bits of flesh on them.
11:30 last night, the 911 call comes in. It's silent. No one on the line. When police arrive to investigate, they see 2 young men running out of the back door of the home. Canines soon track down 18-year-old Robert Beaver and his 16-year-old brother in the woods behind the home. Inside, horror. 5 members of the brothers' family found stabbed to death. Their parents, David and April Beaver, their 12 and 17-year-old brothers, and their 5-year-old sister. 2 siblings survived the rampage. A 13-year-old sister is in the hospital tonight, and the family's baby, a 2-year-old girl, the only one left unhurt.
Detectives interrogated the brothers separately as they tried to figure out what could have made them do such a horrible thing. Robert, who even seemed proud of what he did, confessed to everything. He said that he and his brother had been fascinated by serial killers and mass shooters for years, and that he believed taking the life of more than one person would make him a god. He said that he wanted to gain the kind of fame and notoriety that such criminals would often get. He said that he started planning to murder his family at the age of 13, and that he even got a job at a call center to earn money to buy the knives, body armor, helmets, guns, and ammunition. He said that their plan was to end their entire family, including their 2-year-old sister, decapitate their bodies, and throw the remains in trash bins, and then hide them in the attic of their home. He said they were planning to take 2 videos, one with the bodies to give to the police, and the other without the bodies or blood that they could post on YouTube. They then would steal the family car and go on a shooting spree around town, hoping to achieve a body count of at least 50 people. The detective who interviewed him would later testify that Robert was actually laughing and smiling while telling the story, and would get mildly excited at some parts. Robert's interview has never been released to the public, but Michael's has. He told detectives that it was his brother's idea and that he didn't want to do it, but Robert threatened him.
Your big brother's telling you he wants to be famous, and you guys are making these plans. Surely you want some of that fame too, right?
Yeah, I do want to do it with him because like he's going to do it no matter what. He says if I don't do it with him, they'll just kill me too, or leave me there. So do it with him.
Yeah.
So y'all have been planning this since 30th of June, you said?
Yeah.
That's the first time y'all talked about it?
Well, not the first time we talked about, but we were thinking about it.
He said that Robert had ordered body armor and collected knives months before the incident. He had also some guns delivered to a nearby shop, and 3,000 rounds of ammunition was to be delivered to the house the day after the incident. Michael kept going back and forth with the police, refusing to admit that he had killed anyone, but eventually he confessed to stabbing his little brother Christopher and his mom. He said that Robert was very specific about the plan. They were going to cut their family down like ninjas, with swift and silent blows. But when it all started, nothing went as planned, and they realized that it wasn't going to be that easy.
And this is your last chance to just kind of let us know, to be honest, to man up and tell us exactly what you did and start making it right.
I hit Christopher. I not stabbed Victoria with Daniel.
You did not stab Victoria.
I tried to stab Mom.
You stabbed your mom.
I believe she was walking around.
Both Michael and Robert were charged with 5 counts of first-degree homicide and 1 count of assault and battery with intent to kill. Despite being only 16 when he committed the crime, Michael was also charged as an adult. Their sister, Crystal, who had survived the attack, testified against the two, saying that Michael and Robert talked for a year about ending their family and stealing money. She said that her brothers admired mass shooters, wishing more of them got away with their crimes. According to Crystal, the brothers would say that there were too many people in the world. Crystal said that she had told her mom about her brother's concerning behaviors, and that her mom had dismissed her by saying, boys will be boys. At first, both Robert and Michael had pleaded not guilty to the charges, but later, Robert changed his plea to guilty, so as to avoid getting the death sentence. He was given 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole. In July 2016, it was reported that Robert attempted to end his life by hanging with a bedsheet. He was discovered by a detention officer during a routine check and was cut down before anything happened. Michael's trial began in April 2018, and Robert came and testified in his brother's defense, saying that it was all his fault and that Michael was just going along with his plans. He claimed that he was responsible for all the deaths and that Michael did not kill anyone.
Robert was on the stand all day long today testifying in his brother Michael's defense. Robert said, looking back, it's unfortunate this plan ever came to fruition. He says, for a long time the plan wasn't real. It was just something he thought about to make himself feel better. Robert went through the entire chain of events of that night in detail. This was back in July of 2015. He talked about how it started, how it ended, taking responsibility for every death and saying he doesn't even remember seeing Michael holding a knife.
Robert did admit that Michael helped him by tricking his siblings to open the door for him. In the end, Michael's confession and the fact that he had tricked his siblings into being murdered swayed the jury. Michael was found guilty of all charges and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He is currently serving his time at Lexington Correctional Center, while Robert is at Joseph Hart Correctional. But things don't even end there. While in prison, Robert actually tried to attack prison staff with a sharp object. He just came up behind 2 workers with the weapon before he was restrained by the guards. While in jail before his trial, Michael kept a journal in which he drew some really disturbing images telling the story of what he and his brother did. This clearly shows that there is something mentally wrong with these 2 brothers, but psychiatrists who evaluated them could not find anything to explain what was really wrong with them. Now, Crystal and Autumn, the only surviving members of the Bever family, were adopted by the same family, so at least they are together. This horrifying incident continued to haunt Broken Arrow for years, with people on social media calling the house in which it happened evil. Then one day, 2 years after the incident, someone set the house on fire.
The Broken Arrow Fire Department says it got the call around 3:30 a.m. When crews arrived, the house was engulfed in flames. It took an hour for them to get it under control.
What do you think about this case? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.